So every now and then, some crazy drama comes out of a community you don't even follow. And if it can breach its community, you know the trend is going to be interesting. And this time, it's the trad lifers. So for quick context, trad life is a super vague term. Basically, people just want to live like it's the old times. Think 1900s America. Like, nobody's out there LARPing as a Vietnamese rice farmer in Kansas, no matter how funny that would be. But instead, it's more like very traditional gender roles. They make everything themselves, home cooking, all that type of stuff. If you can imagine 1960s suburban America, you're about 90% there. And I can understand wanting to get away from modern technology and society, maybe get a nice cabin in the woods, might even try to convince some people of the way that you think, your way of life. Anyways, this isn't your normal drama, as the person didn't really do anything. It's actually more to do with everything around them and the situation they are in. Hannah Neeleman of Ballerina Farms is, by most people's definition, a trad life influencer. Also, if at any point I accidentally say Needleman instead of Neeleman, you know. And she really has that 1900s lifestyle. She's got 8 kids that she homeschools herself. She's running a farm, making home goods for sale like sourdough, flour, or if you want extra gains, protein enriched flour, raw milk, and all that type of stuff and more, but I'm leaving looking at the store for a bit later. And when I say 1900s lifestyle, I mean it. She's apparently gone down with exhaustion multiple times, which to me literally sounds like an old-timey disease. Like, what's wrong with him, doc? He's sleepy and tired. Like, okay. Now, is she sick because she takes care of 8 kids and runs a farm? Or is it because she drinks raw milk and eats other raw food? I don't really know. And obviously I can't forget the classic of spousal neglect. Now, I know that's a big thing to throw out there and say, but to me it really does seem that's where a lot of the hate is coming from. And looking from the outside, it can quickly make sense as to why people look at it that way. A lot of the interest in this couple comes about from the combination of a New York Times article where they get interviewed about their lifestyle, and the other thing is a really bad gift Hannah received from her husband, but that's a bit later. So let's start by having a quick look at their relationship, where it seems Hannah is very much treated as an afterthought. A lot of people feel bad for Hannah, as some of the things she would go through sound like a Dr. Doofenshmirtz backstory. Like, she had her gowns and stuff from like winning beauty pageants. She kept it in a cupboard, so she could like look at it and whatever, but then they needed space for their kids' play area, so it just got chucked in the garage. She wanted to turn like an old barn on their farm into a dance studio, but it ended up as a schoolhouse for the kids. And like, it's not a space issue, their farm is about 300 acres. Then there's the infamous terrible gift. So it was Hannah's birthday, and apparently she's been wanting to go to Greece for a while, and she received a package. And she sees it's not tickets, so she's like, oh, maybe it's a hat I can wear in Greece. And for quick context, her husband is the son of a person that owns an airline and is worth several hundred million. Anyways, she got an egg apron. Like an apron that has extra pockets, so it's easier to collect eggs. That's on par with like a mine owner giving his employees a gift, and it turns out to be a pickaxe before he tells them to get back to work. And like, that's the gift she got. And like, after she gets the gift, she kind of has this like defeated, like low energy, like sad. And this kind of feeds back into the weird relationship Hannah has with Daniel, as apparently as she rejected Daniel for over 6 months. And when she was flying to New York for some ballerina stuff, Daniel somehow managed to conveniently get a seat next to her after finding out she was flying on his father's airline, which kind of sounds illegal to me, like in a GDPR or data protection violation thing, not like sitting next to a person being a crime. It's like one of those things, the more you look into it, the weirder every single aspect of it seems. In one of the interviews she did with a newspaper, she mentioned she only had 1 epidural, and it was when her husband was out of town, and like all the other births were without like pain medication or anything, which naturally led to a lot of accusations of control and such. A lot of people also say she's extremely overworked. She's responsible for 8 kids, running a farm, the social media side of things, the social media part of the business. She also runs the farm store, and obviously all of this type of negativity to a group forming around them that's mostly just there to hate or criticize them, with a big group just backseat parenting, which seems incredibly annoying, as a lot of it is like, there was a child near a hammer, child safety much? Which I saw that on Reddit. Other times they have a bit more of a point, like saying you shouldn't let your kids free roam on a farm because they can get hurt. And recently one of their kids was free roaming around the farm and got hurt by an animal. By the way, the kid's okay, like. But this really does kind of remind me of the classic meme of like the BBC or the documentary maker. Like, that photo needs a bit of setup. I've seen some complaints over people saying that Hannah likes to say she was a ballerina, but technically she never worked as one, so she shouldn't say she's a ballerina. To which I'll say that she actually made it into a fairly prestigious program for dancing and dropped out of it when she got married. Also, I think she's the first person to ever drop out of this course after getting accepted. So yeah, I think it's fair game for her to call herself one. Like, a lot of the kind of side bits of drama really just stem from the fact that people feel bad for Hannah and they dislike David. But how does one acquire such a place to trad life? Well, Ballerina Farms is about 328 acres, which sounds pretty big, and it is, but it's actually a bit smaller than the average size of a farm in America. Regardless, farms are very expensive, especially one that size would easily be a couple million, so how did they get the money? Nobody really knows. I've seen a few people say that their lifestyle is just bankrolled by Daniel's father, which if I heard that he helped them out financially, I wouldn't doubt it. It's like the guy's very rich, so you know. But I also haven't seen anything that would confirm this is the case. And in some of Hannah's older blogs, before they ended up getting the farm, she had a post how they don't have a chair for their child, which given that the child's sitting up, it's got to be at least a couple of months old. And I would imagine if Daniel's dad was willing to buy them an entire farm, why wouldn't he buy his grandson a chair so they don't have to eat off the floor, which is just a bit weird. So I don't really know, and unless any of them actually confirm it, it'll kind of remain a mystery. Now into the classic merch store. First thing, no webcam icon. Come on, like this is a super simple thing to do, and it makes your website look so much better. You're expecting people to trust their payment details to a website that can't properly attach a logo. So anyway, what do these trad lifers sell? You know, you get your sourdough, your flour, stuff off their farm. As a merch store, it's kind of weird, but it's very on point, very teamed with what they do. They also sell a lot of enameled stuff. It says it's brought in and imported, but it's not saying where it's from, but it's saying that they partner with a small business, so I can't really imagine why they can't tell you where it's from, because other products say exactly where it's coming from, which has led to some people saying they're just like selling cheap Chinese stuff and overcharging for it, which sounds like a pretty standard accusation. Also, it's pretty funny how they can't ship most of their food outside of America. Like, I kind of want to make the snarky European comment. I was like, oh no red 40 for us. But in truth, agricultural goods are very protected everywhere, so it's very hard to import them, so I'm not surprised you can't sell homemade agricultural goods outside of America. But yeah, that's about it. I find it kind of funny how by trying to move away from like modern life and technology, they ended up with one of the most 21st century jobs imaginable, where they're managing a brand, a social media, navigating the intricacies of international trade, and you know, all saying it's a traditional gender role where she just stays in the house, even though she's by all definitions a very much an entrepreneur and a business owner. And in escaping modernity, they've only fallen more into it. But yeah, if there's anything else you want me to cover, let me know, and ciao!